संतोषयता सन्तौ श्रीलरूपसनातनौ दाक्षिणात्येन भट्टेन पुनरेतद्विविच्यते तस्याद्यं ग्रन्थनालेकं क्रान्तव्युत्क्रान्तखण्डितम् पर्यालोच्याथ पर्यायं कृत्वा लिखति जीवकः. So here, after that, 42nd Anusheda, we should start. So in the 5th chapter also we are seeing in the 2nd canto. So that is 41st Anusheda, Sri Brahma Narada Samvadepi. So Samyak Karunikasjedam Vatsate Vichikitsidam Yadaham Chodita Soumya Bhagavad Virya Darshane. This you all know, this context. Brahmaji was asked by the Narada several questions about the creation. The 6 questions, Yadrupam, so and so, those questions, how this universe, material universe is created, what is the form of that, so who created, so where, what is the shelter for that. So like this, several questions were asked about the creation in the beginning of the 5th chapter. In the 2nd canto, 5th chapter, the beginning questions were asked. Then after hearing those questions, Brahmaji was very much so happy, and he is saying that Samyak Karunikasya idam vatsa te vichikitsitam yadaham choditaha soumya bhagavad virya darshane. So he is saying that, my dear son Vatsa, oh my dear son, so by your questions I am very much happy, because the reason is I am inspired to see the power of the Lord. Bhagavad Virya Dharshane Choditaha. That means I am inspired to see the power of. That means now he just Bhagavad Virya Dharshane means questions are asked such a way. So Brahmaji able to just remember the Lord's various powers. So those questions are like that. That's why. So if you go further to that chapter, so then it is said, Agrecha Sarvashastra Samanvayena. What is said? In the coming section of the same chapter, it is said that 15 to 16, Narayana Paraveda, Narayana Deva Narayana Angaja, Narayana Paraloka, Narayana Paramakha, Narayana Paro Yogo, Narayana Param Tapa, Narayana Param Gnanam, Narayana Paragati. These are the 2 slokas, and here Narayana is concluded as the summary of all the scriptures, is a conclusion of all the scriptures. So that is said in these 2 slokas. What is that? Agrecha Sarvashastra Samanvayatvena. That means Narayana is the conclusion of all the scriptures. So considering that, the following is said. Narayana Para Vedaha. The translation, if you see, the Vedas are dependent on Narayana. The Devatas are born from the limbs of the Narayana. The planets and sacrifices are dependent on Narayana. This is the first one, 15th, and 16th is also is there. 16th is saying Narayana, Paro Yoga. That means yoga is dependent on Narayana. Austerity is dependent on Narayana. Knowledge is dependent on Narayana. Liberation is dependent on Narayana. This is the point. So is said here. Also we are having the, that means Narayana is the final conclusion. So that's why one should do the Narayana Bhakti. This is the opinion of the Brahmaji also. There Sutta Goswami also said in the first canto, second chapter, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakaha. I guess same way here. So Brahmaji is saying about the Narayana. So here, if you see the Mula, Sri Narayana Eva Upasyattvena, that means Paraha. Narayana Eva Upasyatvena Paraha Tatparya Vishayaha Yesham Te Vedaha. So how it is said? The Vedas have the conclusion that Narayana is the supreme as the object of worship. Simple words, if you try to understand what is the meaning of Narayana Para Veda, means Narayana is the conclusion for the Vedas. That is the point. Simple. Otherwise, you can say the Vedas have the conclusion that Narayana is supreme as the object of worship. Upasyatvena Paraha. Vedas are saying Narayana is the is the highest, is the conclusion. In what form? As a upasya, as a worshipable object. So it is the highest worshipable object. That is the conclusion of the Vedas. Vedas are concluded. That's why one. So here the main point is here Sridhar Swami, not Sridhar Swami. This is Jiva Goswami saying Upasyatvena. That means Vedas are concluding in Narayana means in what way concluding? In what sense they are concluding the Narayana as the conclusion? In the form of highest worshipable object. Yeah, the supreme worshipable object. So in this way they are concluding about the Narayana. So that means Narayana Bhakti is the conclusion of Vedas. Like this here Brahmaji also saying. Nanu anyepi devaha tatra upasyatvena abhidhiyante. So but someone may ask now question. What we are saying now, Narayana is the highest or the supreme worshipable object. They are saying. Then others are saying, someone may say that even other demigods also worshipable. So Vedas are saying that worshipping of other demigods also. Then what about that? Devaha tatra upasyatvena abhidhiyante. So demigods also are said as worshipable objects by the Vedas. So then what about that? Then answer is Satyam. Yes, that is true. Tepi Narayanaanga Prabhavatveneva Tatha Varnyante Ityartaha. That is true. That is true, yes. Other demigods also worshipable. But what sense they are worshipable? What it means? It means that they are also described like that. They are also described like that due to appearing from the limbs of the Narayana. Why demigods also worshipable? So because they are all appearing from the limbs of the Narayana. So that's why. So one should know that demigods are worshipable. The reason is they are coming from the limbs of the Narayana. So that's why any worshipper, so if they want to worship, so in what way they should worship? They should not worship they should not worship devatas independently. Independent worship of the devatas is not recommended. Independent worship means devatas are independent from the Supreme Lord, and or otherwise they are also supreme, like Narayana, are greater than the Narayana. If anyone are independent from the Narayana, with any kind of this thought, if you worship, then that is avidhi purvakam. That is avidhi purvakam. That is not the proper way. So that's why if anyone wants to worship, so what they should do? So they should, if they want to worship the demigods, they should worship demigods as the limbs of the Narayana. as the limbs of the Narayana. Then that is a proper worship. Then that is not offenseless. Then that is no offense. It's offenseless worship. This we are going to discuss in the coming discussion also, coming sections. So the like when 10 offenses are being discussed at that time, we'll be seeing this also. So one should, if at any situation, if you got some situation, you got somehow or other, it is unavoidable situation. So you need to worship the demigods. Such a situation you got in your life, then you, how to, what is the consciousness you should maintain? You should worship them. You should worship them as the limbs of the Narayana. That is a right understanding. So upaschyatvene abhidhiyante. So example is, you can see, when Yudhishthira Maharaj was doing the Rajasuya Yaga, so at that time he was worshipping, and the yajna, there is the swaha, there will be offerings for the every demigod. So at that time, how he was, what consciousness he was maintaining. So he was seeing, so these all demigods as the limbs of the Narayana. Even on a more example is there in the Shastra. Bharata Maharaj also uh, came across such a situation. He has to do the yajna to satisfy demigods. At that time also, that was done. That consciousness is, he was also worshipping them as the limbs of the Narayana, the Supreme Lord. Then that there is no offense. Otherwise, second offense will happen. The names of the demigods are equal to or the independent of the names of the Lord Vishnu is also offense, actually, second offense. So, okay. Next, yepi tadashrayaha lokaha tepi tat padaprapti hetavaha. What is the next point? So Narayana para Vedaha is done. Deva Narayanangajaha. Next, Narayana para Loka means the residents of these all the demigods, these Lokaha, they are also Tepi Tat Pada Prapti Hetavaha. So those all places, the lokas which are the shelter for those devatas are cause for attaining the abode of Narayana. Means what it means. Ultimately, those lokas are not the permanent. So you should not aim to reach to the demigods' planets. So, but neophytes may initially worship the demigods to attain those planets, but that is just will give the authenticity of the Vedas. So yes, you worship and you went according to the scriptures, according to the Veda, you worship such and so demigod, and you got that pleasure, and you are seeing that. So that means that's a reconfirming that. So there is a existence of the statements of the Vedas are truth. So, but one has to think what is the origin for these planets. So who is the creator of this? Who is the ultimate cause of this? So then one will immediately connect his consciousness, so with the Supreme Lord. So this is the point we should understand. That's why ultimately, even previously also we were seeing Vasudeva Paraveda in that. So whatever the pleasure in there in the Swarga, that is just a reflection of this material world is the abhasa of the spiritual world. Yatha bhaso, yatha tamaha. This Maya is the abhasa of the Lord's energy. It's not reality. Not reality means it's reality only, but it is not original Swarupa Shakti. So it's abhasa, yatha bhaso, yatha tamaha. It's just a reflection. And the creation of this material world the creation of this material world is done by this Maya. So that's why this material objects, everything is a reflection of the spiritual object. And that's why every object is indicating directly or ultimately the supreme object or the supreme objects. That means, so whatever here the tree is there, this tree is abhas of the original tree in the spiritual world. So that's why it is an indicator to know the ultimate tree that is in the spiritual world. They are all permanent actually. So like this, one has to know that means the swarga, the pleasure in the swarga is also is the abhasa of the pleasure in the spiritual world. That's why it is the indicator actually. Okay. So that's why these planets, तदाश्रयाः लोकाः तेऽपि तत्प्राप्ति हेतवः मकाः मकाश्च तत्पराः एव तदानन्दांश आभास रूपत्वात् तत्साधनत्वात् च इति भावः. So the reason is given here itself. That means how the demigods planets are the cause for the attaining the spiritual, that means Vaikunta, because this material, this demigods planet, the ananda whatever is there in that demigods planet, that is a reflection of the, yeah, spiritual pleasure. So that's the indicator, because you can estimate actually, yeah, some pleasure is here, then what it mean. So, and also we are not able to enjoy that eternally. Till the time you have punya, that much time only you are able to get the pleasure from that place. That means this is not permanent, and it is also temporary. Then where is the pleasure, so which is permanent and which is superior to this and even more quality, that means more perfect. So where is that pleasure? So that will give the, that means thought actually, that pleasure will give the, so thought to understand or to desire for the even higher than that. But one may ask, then after going to the spiritual world also I may get thought of by seeing that pleasure even more than this. But there the pleasure is such a way the soul is completely satisfied, and also it is having such a properties, it is constant and it is ever increasing. So what is the spiritual abode is having the three qualities, three path vibhuti. What is that? Abhayam, amrutam, kshemam. These are the three properties of the spiritual pleasure. That is amrutam, that means there is no ending for that. And next is abhayam. Abhayam means there is no effect of time there. Here in this material world, everything is destroyed by the time. That's why, because of this, we get fear. Wherever there is influence of time, there is fear. Because we will lose the object because of the influence of the time. So that's why spiritual world is abhayam, means there is no time, no influence of the time. There is no influence of the time there. So that's why that pleasure is, yes, is always existing. And kshemam. Kshemam means it is auspicious. But in this material world, all the pleasure is inauspicious because it is due to Maya. Because it is done by the modes of nature. This Maya is a cause for the pleasure in this material world. And that's why it is inauspicious. It is inauspicious. It's not good for the Jivatma, because this will indicate the Jivatma's revelistic nature towards the Lord. This will indicate, that means, aversion towards the Supreme Lord. So that's why the pleasure is, of course, is given by the Lord's energy. But the problem is what? This energy is, this pleasure is inauspicious. But if you go to the spiritual world, there is no influence of the Maya there. So that's why that is auspicious, kshemam. Because of these three characteristics, the spiritual opulence is really wanted by every Jivatma. And that's why Jivatma is get satisfied. And it will not hanker for the even further more than that. No, it is fully satisfied because it is having these three properties: abhayam, amrutam, and kshemam. So, like this, those planets, this material in the material world, the abodes of the planets of the demigods are causes for the attaining the ultimate spiritual pleasure. Next, makhascha tatparahayeva. All the sacrifices are meant for Narayana. Are the Narayana is all the sacrifices are dependent on Narayana. So what it mean? That means tat sadhanat makhaha. Yeah. So tat sadhanatvat. Why? How can you say all the makaha, all the sacrifices are meant for the Narayana? Because makaha sacrifices, they are all sadhanas to attain Hari only. So that's why after what is the Purna Ahuti? When you perform any sacrifice, so while performing, you will be giving the oblations to the various demigods, but final Ahuti is given, and we say that is for the Vishnu only. Here, Vishnu is not one of the demigod among others. He is not like ordinary demigod like others, but he is the person who is taking the complete Ahuti, Purna Ahuti. That means he is the ultimate enjoyer of this. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. So, and yeah, Sarvaloka Maheshwara. And also, Sarva Yajnanam Bhokta Ahamevacha. He says, I am the Bhokta of the all the sacrifices. So that's why all the sacrifices are the instrumental in attaining the Narayana. In that way, they are all concluding in Narayana. Next, Narayana Paro Yogo. All the yogas dependent on Narayana are the, yeah.
You said the final oblation is meant for Vishnu.
Yeah.
What was the name in Sanskrit for that final?
Purnahuti.
Purna Ahuti.
Yes. Yeah. So Narayana Paro Yogaha. So that means Yogaha means you should take here Ashtanga Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. Both are the yoga only. Here yoga is meant, is having the two meanings, Ashtanga and Sankhya. Okay. And what is said here? Tat sadhyam tapascha chittaikagryam. What is the result of the Ashtanga Yoga? The result of Ashtanga Yoga is the tapas. Tat sadhyam, the ultimate yoga is meant for what? Is meant for the doing the chitta aikagryam. Here tapah means what? We are saying the result of yoga is yoga's sadhyam. Sadhyam means result. What is that? That is tapaha. Tapaha means chittaikagriyam. Chittaikagriyam means concentration of mind. So chittaikagriyam is the result of the yoga. And yoga is having the two meanings here. What meaning you took? Tapas means Ashtanga yoga. Here, yoga means Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yoga. Yoga is having the two meanings. Ashtanga yoga or Sankhya yoga. Either of these. If you take Ashtanga yoga, yoga is equal to Ashtanga yoga, this is the condition. This is 1 and this is 2. And if you take 1, then this is Chitta Ekagri. If you take 2, yoga means Sankhya yoga. Then what will happen? Sankhya yoga. If you take yoga is equal to Sankhya yoga, then Narayana para yoga. So what is said here? Yoga tatsadhyam chittagna tatsadhyam brahmagnanam cha tatparam. And then what is the result of this? Sankhya is the, what is the result of result? Is the brahmagnanam. Result of the Sankhya yoga is brahmagnanam. And so then how can you say? And the result of the chitta ekagriyam is what? So tadiya samanyakara prakash. So Sankhya yoga's result is brahmagnanam. So that means what? Brahman is nothing but the Brahma is the is what? Is the general representation of Narayana. Yes or no? General representation of Narayana. That means, so if you take yoga is equal to Sankhya yoga, so yes, ultimately it is leading to the Narayana. So that's why Vasudeva para, Narayana para yoga is satisfied in this condition. Now if you take yoga is equal to Ashtanga yoga, then its result is the tapa, that means chitta ekagriyam. Then what is the result of the tapas? What is the result of the tapas? The result of the tapas is tadi prakasatva tas jnanasya yoga tapaso tat sadhanatvacha. Ultimately, this will lead to Ashtanga yoga will lead to the Chitta Ekagri will lead to the, so to realize what? Narayana. You will be seeing the Narayana in the heart. So that's why ultimately it is also, in that sense also it is. Huh? Yes.
Just to clarify, so Narayana Para Yoga, yoga can have two meanings. One is Ashtanga, and if we take as Ashtanga, then the result of Ashtanga Yoga is tapa,
Yeah.
means concentration of the mind, chitta, ekagrayam.
And that is a sadhana to the achieving the Narayana.
So tapa is the sadhana.
Tapa is also that means chitta ekagryam. Tapa means you should take meaning of chitta ekagryam, concentration of the mind.
And then if we take Sankhya, that means Brahma Jnanam.
Which
And if you take the second meaning, yoga is Sankhya yoga,
yeah.
then the sadhya for Sankhya yoga is Brahma Jnanam. And how is it related to Narayana?
Because Brahman is general representation of Narayana.
General representation.
योग तपसोः तत्साधनत्वाच्च इति भावः किं बहुना what to speak else गतिः तत्प्राप्यं ब्रह्मापि तत्परा. What is that? Finally, what is there? Vasudeva para param tapa is also over. And Narayana param gnanam, Narayana paragatihi. So param gnanam means if you take the Brahma gnanam, ultimately that is also, it is easy to connect. That Brahman is nothing but the general representation of the Narayana. You can take like this, you can say Narayana para. That means gnanam is also is concluding in the Narayana. That we can say. And next Narayana para gatihi. Gatihi. Gatihi means yes, yeah, is a destination. So gatihi tat prapyam brahmapi tat para. So the ultimate destination is there is Brahman. That is also is the general representation of the Narayana. So what more? Brahman, that means Gatihi. Here Gatihi is Brahma. Brahman. Gati is the Brahman. And that Brahman is general representation of the Narayana. So that's why, so Vasudeva para Gatihi. Sorry, Narayana para Gatihi. What is there next? Next is Gnanam is there. What is the sadhyam of the Gnanam? Is the sadhyam of the result of the Gnanam is what? Brahman. And here Gatihi means you should take Brahman only. So Gatihi is equal to Brahman. So if you see both equal to, so ultimately Narayana. Both are general. Okay. Like this you should say. Okay. Next. Taduktam Sri Matsyadevena Satyavatam Prati. What is said? Madiyam Mahimanam cha Parabrahmeti Sabditam Vedsyasyanugrahitam me samprashnair vivrutam hrudi. He is saying here, there is a giving proof. How can you say Brahman is general representation of the Narayana is the Brahman? How can you say? What is the connection between the Brahman and Narayana? So that is mentioned here. Madiyam Mahimanam. Who is saying? Matsyadev is saying. In the 8th canto, you'll be seeing this. Last chapter, 24th chapter. So Matsya Bhagavan is saying to the Satyavrata, Raja Satyavrat. So we have obtained by mercy, will realize my power known as impersonal Brahman which that means you will realize my power known as a impersonal Brahman, which will be disclosed in your heart through questions and answers. Madiyam Mahimanam. That means my impersonal effulgence, or otherwise my Mahima, my glory. So is the Param Brahma. This you can see the you can see here the connection. And also Brahmano hi pratishtaham, Krishna is also saying in the Bhagavad Gita. I am the shelter for the Brahman. Means Brahman is nothing but the general representation. If you see without qualities the Krishna, then that is Brahman. Okay, next one, see the 43. Yes, Ashay Gorang Prabhu.
Here, Lord Matsyadev,
Uh,
this sloka bit confusing. We know Brahman is effulgence of God, etc. But this sloka, Matsyadev is already in front of Lord, this Manu, Satyavrat, is already in front of him. He's already got personal connection with Matsyadev.
yeah.
Now Matsyadev is telling that you will get further knowledge about my glory by realizing that effulgence. So from it, it is like something special is going to get further. That means now already is in front of Matsyadev. So he is a source of Brahman. So when one realizes already Bhagavan, and still he has to wait for realizing Brahman, it appears like that from this sloka.
Yeah. Uh, it's not further, actually, further is not said anywhere.
You will the future tense is there.
But it's not, that means compared to Matsya Bhagavan, even more, that means the high level of realization is not said like that. But so you will realize my power known as Param Brahma. So here, वेत्स्यसि अनुगृहीतं मे संप्रश्नैः विवृतं हृदि. Yeah, this is true in the what sense? If one have any desire about the Brahman, that means desire to know the Brahman realization. So by doing bhakti, so that is also is experienced. That means by the mercy of the Lord. Like you say, you can see in the case of the mother Devahuti also. So she heard the Sankhya philosophy, she heard the yoga, and also she heard the bhakti. These three things she heard. So, and also she heard the uh, when she heard the gnana, so that means she understood Brahman is the supreme. When she heard the Paramatma yoga, she understood Paramatma is a supreme, is a final. And when she heard the Bhagavan, about the Bhagavan, glories of the Bhagavan, so she understood this Bhagavan is supreme. But when she did that means so, tapasya, that means after the Kapila Bhagavan was teaching all these three yogas, so at that time he didn't realize anything, just she is hearing. So sounds and so are the objects of these yogas. But when she practiced, so she practiced such a way, so she understood, she realized actually by practicing the devotion. So gnana and also yoga are the just limbs, or otherwise it's just a partial, and by the help of the bhakti only, uh, those will be yielding the result. And also she understood uh, this Bhagavan realization is inclusive of Brahman and Paramatma realizations. And finally she was saying, actually she was her realization. So Bhagavan is the ultimate realization. It's a good discussion actually. I'm not details say exactly, I'm not recalling actually. The good arguments are there. So like this, based upon that, if you see, so Matsya Bhagavan, whatever is saying also true. So in the sense, if you do the bhakti, so one will realize the Brahman also. In that sense, we can understand this. So, if someone have jignasa of what is this Brahman realization, that can be fulfilled by the by doing the bhakti. In that sense only, that much. Next, Anushida 43. Shri Vidura Maitreya Samvadepi Tatra Prashno Yatha. So there is a question in the discussion between Vidura. Now we are going to the third canto. Okay. So till now we have seen the conversation between the Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit. First of all, Sutta and Saunaka we have seen. First canto, second chapter. And also after that, second canto, first chapter, we have seen the conversation between the Parikshit and Sukha. In between, some more conversations are there, like, and also we have seen, sorry, Narada and Vasudev conversation also we have seen, fifth chapter. But no other conversations we have seen in the first canto. After that, we jump to the Sukha and Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So then, while explaining this, so yeah, in the second canto, we also see the discussion between the Brahmaji and Narada. So that also we have seen. So that means the Narada's question, how it was also devotional oriented. So by seeing the Narada's question immediately, so Brahmaji was very much excited. So Brahmaji was also concluding into the bhakti only, Narayana Paraveda and so and so. So like this he is. And then second canto to now we are shifting to the third canto. We are not discussing, Jiva Goswami is not discussing every conversation, but just so he's establishing in the different conversations, bhakti is concluded. That is the main point. So it's like you see, Vidura Maitreya Samvada. Before that, Narada. So if you see 41 Anushada, Sri Brahma Narada Samvadepi. In the conversation of Brahma and Narada, what? That means bhakti is the abhideya. That is concluded. That is the point actually. And before that also you'll be seeing the Sri Saunaka and Sota Goswami and also Sukha and Parikshit Samvada. Like this. Now we are seeing the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. So what is said, you see here, तत्साधुवर्यादिशवर्त्मशम्नः सम्राधितो भगवान् येन पुंसां हृदि स्थितो यच्चति भक्तिपूते ज्ञानं सतत्वाधिगमं पुराणम्. O best of the devotees, please speak about the auspicious path by which the Supreme Lord, worshipped by men, situated in the heart, purified by bhakti, gives the original knowledge along with knowledge of tattva. Sadhuvarya. It's the fifth chapter, na? So that means Vidura is already Vidura and Maitreya, they met each other. Before that, Uddhava and Vidura was discussing. So then from Vidura, so he came to know, so he should go to Maitreya and get the further understanding of the spiritual knowledge. So that's why Vidura recommends him to go and meet the Maitreya. Then Maitreya, he meets with Maitreya, then Maitreya starts this. So Maitreya is asking, Vidura is asking Maitreya, hey Sadhuvarya, oh best of the devotees. What he is asking? So Sadhuvarya Vartmana Samradhito Bhagavan Yena Pumsam. You tell me, so you tell me what? You tell me such a path. So by which Supreme Lord is attained. So and also gives the original knowledge along with knowledge of Tattva. You tell me the best path, auspicious path, by which Supreme Lord gives original knowledge along with the Tattva. So that kind of, he's asking about the best path. So here in this sloka, atra sham means sukharupam vartma iti tika. Tikakar is saying, Sridhar Swami, sham, what kind of path that is? Sham path. Sham means sukharupam. So my Vidura is asking, tell me such a easiest path and also gives pleasure. Such a path you tell me, and which gives uh, the knowledge about the Lord, Supreme Lord, Supreme Tattva. Bhakti Pute Vimale Satatvam Gnanam. Okay, here in this Lord resides in where? He resides in the purified heart, situated in the heart purified by bhakti. Lord always sits in the purified heart. Now, in the dirty place, he never sits. He never comes. Krishna never comes. Okay. So, worshipped by men, situated in the heart purified by bhakti. Just on that discussion, I was remembering. So, one time our devotees asked, so who is purifying the impurities in the heart, whether Paramatma or the Krishna himself? So that we have seen in the second canto discussion. So who was purifying? That is, yeah, that's Punanti ye Bhagavata. That is that sloka actually. You remember this? पिबन्ति ये भगवतः आत्मना सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु समृतं पुनन्ति ते विषय विधूतिताशयम्. In this sloka's commentary, that means second canto, second chapter 37, it's really clearly that our Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying Krishna is only is cleaning, not the Paramatma. Yeah, Krishna Bhavana in the form of Bhavana. What is that sloka? That sloka is, sorry, that 2 point. Acha, I confused. Two. No, it's similar to sloka. It looks like to the धौतात्म पुरुषः कृष्णपादमूलनं पादमूलं न मुञ्चति मुक्त सर्व परिक्लेश पंथ. प्रविष्टः कर्णरन्ध्रेण स्वानां भावसरोरुहं धुनोति शमलं कृष्ण सलिलस्य यथा शरत्. Yes, this is the sloka 2.8.5. Right. Thank you. So yes. Later. Okay. So like this, satatvam gnanam tacha brahma bhagavat paramatma ityadyavirbhavam. Satatvam, in this sloka, what is said, if you see, what is he is going to give? Lord is going to give echati. Lord gives. You tell me that path where Lord gives what? Gives the gnanam. That means satattvadigamam puranam gnanam. That means the initial knowledge, puranam gnanam. Means the essence of the gnana and vijnana, that is the manifestation of Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Okay, this main point is what? So he is asking the question, Lord who resides in the purified heart by the bhakti, in the heart purified by the bhakti. So, and also path, he's asking that what is the best path. Then you will be seeing the answer. From that answers you can understand. So it is also in this conversation we are seeing bhakti as the avidheya, as the conclusion. So okay, Sri Chand Prabhu, कर दिया. Okay, no problem. Chhod do. 44. Tatra. So now Vidura's question is like this. Okay, now we should try to understand what is the Maitreya's answer. Tatra ajanaja devastuti dwara eva uttaram. So Maitreya is replying to the question asked by the Vidura with the glorification of Ajanaja devatas. Who are these Ajanaja devatas? So you all know. So at least Bhakti Vaibhav students, they should know. Ajanaja devatas are the controlling deities of 23 elements. We'll be seeing in this third canto, fifth chapter, when the Srishti, that means once again there is Srishti is explained. After the Karna Srishti, that means when Karnarno Sai Vishnu is glancing on the Prakriti, she is giving birth to, that means not she, that means one after one. So from her and from her product to product, so there are 23 elements are coming from the Prakriti. We are seeing the Mahat is coming, and Mahat is producing the Ahankara. Ahankara is threefold, and those are yielding to, they are producing Pancha Tanmatras, Pancha Mahabhutas, Pancha Gnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, and mind. And Indriya Adhisthana Devatas, sense controlling deities. So, what do you think? So, here Ajanaja Devatas means, don't get confused, not the Indriya Adhisthana Devatas. These are the Adhisthana Devatas of 23 elements. Understand? That means on site also is confused. Huh? No confused. That's okay. This is giving the Mahat and Ahankara. So it is giving the five sense objects. That's Rupa Rasagandha Sparsha. Smell, taste. What is that? Taste, first of all. Smell, taste, form, touch, sound. And five gross elements. And five working sense, knowledge senses. And five working senses. And one mind. And controlling deities of, controlling demigods or deities. Okay, deities of senses. How many these? These are the 11, but we don't count this. They are included with this only. For these five working senses and five knowledge senses and five working senses and for mind, total for 11 senses are there. For that 11 deity, that means demigods are created. Demigods, you write. That means position is created, but demigod is not there. because it is still it is a Karana Srishti only. Till now Brahmaji is not there. After this, these will be so merging, and after that Brahmanda is happening, then Garbhodak Sai Vishnu is entering, and then from his Brahmaji coming, and then after that, so he will give the body to the, so these positions, someone he will appoint actually. So that means in the Karana Srishti, so we are seeing the Ajanaja Devatas, Ajanaja Devatas. Who are those then? These Ajanaja Devatas are nothing but the everyone, this Prakriti, Mahat, Ahankara, there is a Adhisthana Devata. For all Prakriti, for Prakriti, that means for Prakriti also there is Devata, Mahat, Ahankara, for sense objects, for gross elements, and knowledge senses, working senses, for mind, there is a Devatas, controlling deities. They always exist in the spiritual world, and their expansions will be here working. They control this. Like you see, nothing is automatic. Everything behind everything. There is a person actually. So now air is flowing. So air is flowing in this atmosphere. So there is a person behind that. That is the Vayudev. Vayudev is there, and he is controlling in which location air should flow, speed with more, with this much speed, in which location with less speed, based upon the karma of those samuhik karma, combined karma. So the wind will be flowing. So and also water, everything. So there is a controller is necessary. Similarly, Prakriti, Mahat, Ahankara, these are all Jadapadarthas, but there is a deity to control all those. There is a person. There is a person to control those. Those are all eternally existing in the spiritual world, and their expansions work here. So that's why we are seeing. So those are Vishnu is surrounded by all these persons, these deities. What are total? 4 plus 16 plus 5 total. This many, these demigod, these gods actually, they not demigod. These are all the Adhisthana controlling deities. So eternally we are surrounded to the Lord, are controlling here. Okay, these people, these devatas are glorifying the so Vishnu. Aja Anaja devatas are glorifying. Their total name is. But these demigods still no, they don't have any life. They are given body with the after that. This is the only position is this is. Upadhi is created. Huh? Uh, uh, yes. 23 plus 1 Prakriti. 5 plus 5 plus 5. 20 plus 1 mind 21. Ahankara 22. Mahat is 23. Prakriti is 24. Another is for the representing Jiva Shakti. So there is one more. कंट्रोलिंग लेडीज क्या है? जो कंफ्यूज नहीं होना चाहे बोलते हैं वही कंफ्यूज होते हैं. क्या समझ? I am saying don't get confused. These not controlling deities are different. They are for the only controlling deity for the senses, for the 11 senses. And these are all elements are created, and there is a so permanent so controller who is in the spiritual world, and these expansions will be controlling here. Okay, any question on this? Open that. You should get some question. Ashay Gorung Prabhu, yes.
Prabhu, what is the meaning of Adhisthana and Adhisthatri?
Now
What
same.
is the difference between
Adhisthana is the place.
Adhisthana and
Adhisthana
Adhisthatri?
is the place. Adhisthatri means person who is sitting. So like your chair is the Adhisthanam and you are the Adhisthata. Yeah.
Adhisthata Devata will be created later. Adhisthana Devata.
No, it's not like that. These are all energies actually. These are all energies. These are all elements. These elements are controlled by the permanent entities, devatas. They are not come under this Brahmaji's creation. Devatas are created by whom? Devatas are created by the Brahmaji actually. So Deva Sarga is done by the Brahmaji. But these devatas are eternally existing in the spiritual world with the Vishnu. They are surrounded. You'll be seeing the Pancha Shodasha Chatushodasha Pancha Shaktayaha. In the second canto, 9th chapter, you'll be seeing. So sloka number is, if you want, you can note it.
Yeah, Sodasa Atmaka, Sodasa Sakti Bhi, many times.
Yeah, 16th. Adyarhaniyas Adyarhaniyasthanam astitam param Vratam Chatushodasa Pancha Shaktibhi. Chatushodasha Pancha Shaktibhi. So that means who are those? The controlling deities of all these. Okay? They are controlling. Huh? Sloka number is second canto, 9th chapter, sloka number 16. And these demigods are controlling these means what? When the Jivatma is getting these senses, individually Jivatma will get these senses, na? So now you have the 5 working senses and 5 knowledge senses and mind. So with the Jivatma, so they are sitting in the Jivatma's senses, these demigods. They are controlling at that time. Now, in this present time. Now my senses are, my eyes are there. So in that, there is a Surya Deva. Surya Deva Samsha is there, and so that is controlled by the Surya Bhagavan actually. These demigods are after secondary creation, they will come. After Brahmaji's creation, they will come into the existence. And now in the Karna Sushti, that means the 23 elements are created, and after that immediately Devatas are speaking. Then these Devatas are who? These Devatas are not these Devatas. These will be coming after the secondary creation. So these Devatas are means, here Devatas means this is energy actually. This is inert material. So there is any inert material is always controlled by some person will be there. So that person is supremely, that means he's in the Vaikunta. Is always in the Vaikunta along with the Lord, and who are controlling people of these 24 elements. Okay, that's the difference between
So
Ajanaja
that,
Devata.
so that means Ajanaja Devata is controlling the totality of the
Yes,
particular elements, and
yes.
this secondary demigod is controlling the
When
when
that is
these
distributed
same
to
elements
individual,
individually given the
then they
individual,
are controlled.
and also there will be more than 11. No? This also 11 senses, but 5 bhutas will be also controlled by secondary demigods.
Even
Yeah?
in that, if you see prana will be there, and prana is controlled by the apana, vyana, udana. So
Prithvi and all
there
this.
will be different arrangements, details. But basically 11 basic. Mahaseva Prabhu.
Prabhuji, these demigods means in the secondary creation, those who were created by Brahma, they are called demigods.
Yes. These either of that, I don't know.
No, because you said, Prabhuji, these are not demigods, they are gods. So that there is a difference between gods. Means because they are in a spiritual world, they are called gods, and those who are created by Brahmaji, they are called demigods. Is it correct?
Yeah, it's not Brahma. These gods, as another devatas, those devatas are not created by the Brahmaji. So they are eternally existing in the spiritual world. and that can be so he's asking those Vishnu tattvas or those are all the Jiva tattva. That's it, can be Jiva tattva also. Maya is Maya, so she is when Lord is glancing, so Maya is came to know what is the desire. What is the desire? That means if you, Lord is seeing that Maya, so she understood and she created this process. She started this process. That means Prakriti, if you take, is only jada material, then how she is understanding? That means there is a person actually. There is a devotee. There is a person that is a devotee, and she is and understanding the will of the Lord and doing. So that's why this can be Jiva also. But more details are not given in the Bhagavatam, but that can be the Jiva also. Maya is also can be the representative of the Maya, not the Maya, the representative of the Maya, the controlling deity of the Maya is a devotee. This much is discussed in the Shastra. Is a devotee. Okay, that's why she is following. She is following always orders of the Lord, and she is trapping every jivatma, whoever is not turning towards the Lord. So that means inert material will not do. Simply Maya, which is Jada Padartha, will not do. There is a person behind that, who is a devotee. So that we should understand. We discussed this in the Tattva Sandarbha also. Yes, the conversation between the Indra and Maya Devi. So which Upanishad that is? Kena Upanishad.
Prabhuji, here Maya Devi means that is clear, no? Like it is Durga Devi or Parvati. But what is the meaning of demigods, Prabhuji? Like, what is the meaning of this word? Is it the Jivas are called demigods?
Jivas can be demigods. Yeah, Jivas only demigods actually.
Jivas, created by Brahma.
Yeah, those also demigods. Those also Jivas can be Jivas also.
Yeah.
But qualification is devotee, that's all. Either it is Jiva, Vishnu is not mentioned anywhere. It's 23 elements. There is a controlling deity for the Mahat. There is a controlling deity for the Ahankara. There is a controlling deity for the all the this five workings, the five objects of the senses. And those are all devotees, that's all. That much only discussed. They are eternally existing with the Lord. And when creation happens, they do this control.
Yes.
Okay, what is the difficulty?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
क्या क्या भेज रहे? What? What is Prabhu? What do you want to say?
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, actually, I was asking. Previously, you told that when the time acts on Ahankara, then there are three types, three divisions. Like first is Satvika Ahankara, then Rajasika Ahankara, and Tamasika Ahankara. So, and from Vaikarika Ahankara only this Mana and the controlling devatas are coming. So, so from time when it acts upon Ahankara, that time only this controlling devatas are coming, and you told that they come from Brahma. So I was just a little bit confused.
No, who are saying? Brahma till now he is not there. Where is Brahma here? Brahma is not in the picture. He is not in the picture. Brahma is not in the picture till now. Is 23.
You told, bro, that this controlling devatas come from Brahma, but this Adhisthana devatas of these 23 elements, they are before Brahma, and they are only called Achanaja devatas.
Yeah.
But this controlling devatas, which I am telling, which come from Vaikarika Ahankara, so they are coming from Ahankara only, like Satvika Ahankara. But
these will come. These are all not demigods now. They are only positions.
Oh, persons. Okay. Positions
person
only
is
are
not there.
Okay.
The person is not there now. It's a position. That means Indra position created. Indra position, Chandra, Varuna, all these positions are created. But person is not is that means now prime minister position is there, but it should be allotted to someone. Who will allot? So next later Brahmaji will allot those
Okay, okay.
different
That
jiva.
was, yeah. Yes, bro, understood.